What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Shiv, and today we're going to talk to you about Journey to Ungoro. We're going to watch the cinematic, we're going to take a look at some of the cards, we're going to talk about what this expansion is bringing to the game, and, add some commentary as we see fit, as I normally do with these kind of reviews. First off, I'm going to say right now, I've been a little disappointed with Mean Streets of Gadgetzan. It literally polarized the entire meta into one of two different styles of play, and it just became overly toxic. Seriously, whoever thought a situational 3-2 neutral was a good idea should be fired. I stand by that decision. That's a horrible concept. It really is. The whole pirate dominancy of the last expansion was fucking murder. So much so that it pissed off a lot of pro streamers and players and things of that nature. And it's arguably been the darkest time in Hearthstone history. All right? Even Undertaker didn't feel nearly as punishing as this does. So, let's get to this. We're going to be pausing the cinematic a couple times in order to point out some interesting things that I see. First up is going to be with the whole card layout thing that they do in the beginning. So let's get to that. Okay, so first up we've got is this 3-mana 4/8 plant. 3-mana 4/8. If this is a real card, holy shit, that's going to be quite impactful. But as we've seen with these openings before, not every card that they show makes it into the game. Some of them are just placeholders or just cool little concepts. For me, I don't really think this is going to exist in the game. If it did, it would have to have some huge drawbacks to playing it. So maybe it's a Warlock card at, then I could kind of see that being valid. Or if it's another class card or a neutral card, it would have to basically have cannot attack on it. And if that's the case, then all of a sudden Purify for Priest becomes somewhat good. Yeah, I know that's a weird statement, but it could possibly be. So I wouldn't put too much thought into this card here. Alright, hold up a second. We kind of passed by it. There we go. Oh, nope. Alright, we're having a little bit of difficulty with this one. There we go. So next up we have is a Murloc that is a 2-mana 2/3. I've talked with a lot of people on this on what they think this could possibly be, and what we've all pretty much come to consensus is that it's going to be just kind of like an inverse Puddle Stomper for all intents and purposes, but we're not 100% sure yet. Even though it does kind of look like a more tribal version of a War Leader, we just don't know. But I wouldn't put too much hype in this card. Next up, you see over here, we've got this Rock Elemental. It's a 2-mana 2/3. Again, no speculation on that one whatsoever. And then we had a Bug that's 3 mana. We don't know what its static is going to be, so yeah. And then we get to this guy here, and he's like right on top, big as life. Everybody can see him, and he's 8 mana. And he looks like a Ninja Turtle for all intents and purposes. Now, that blue swirl above his head really screams something shaman, all right? Definitely something shaman. And if I had to take a guess, this is some sort of healing shaman card. But I don't know. Nobody knows yet. But I definitely think that this is going to be in the game. And at 8 mana, kind of makes you think that this actually is going to be a legendary. But we don't know yet. We don't know. This could actually be a druid card for all we know. But I highly doubt it. I really do highly doubt it. Pardon me, man. My allergies are kicking my ass right now. But I honestly think that this is going to be a shaman card. And it looks pretty cool. Now, without any further ado and delay, let's get to the cinematic.
We're almost there. Quiet down, everyone. This is not like any of our previous expeditions. This will be far more ambitious. We're stepping into a land of primordial wonder. Infused with astonishing elemental energies. The plant life here holds very unusual properties. So don't touch anything. And while you may be excited to see the local fauna, you might want to make sure they don't see you. Because their powers of adaptation are devastating. Make no mistake, we will be tested at every turn. But if we stay on our guard, we might just survive. Now then, are you ready? Then let's journey into Ongoro Crater.
Alright, that's a pretty impactful cinematic trailer. I liked it a lot. Now, there are a couple other things that I noticed towards the beginning and the back end of it, and I kind of want to get this on screen and see what you guys think here. Alright, so first up we've got Elise. If you look at her chest, she's got these nice little badges on. That looks exactly like League of Explorers. This one's most likely Mean Streets. Here you've got Goblins versus Gnomes. The Grand Tournament is on the bottom. But that's not the only badges. When we get up to the kids here, you've got badges all over them. You see a couple badges over here. Right here you could definitely make out Black Rock Mountain. And then you see this blue one here, which is most likely Karazhan. Or the purple one is Karazhan. I think the purple one would be Karazhan. Which makes you wonder, what's this blue one? Could that be Naxxramas? It's hard to tell. It just looks like a little blue Hearthstone. So it's kind of hard to say right now what that could possibly be. Could this be a hidden Easter egg? Who knows? All right, you can't really say whether or not, but I think it's a really cool thing. It also makes me think a lot of like Pokemon in terms of badges, even though this is supposed to represent like, you know, the scouts and things of that nature where badges are definitely a thing. But in terms of like collectible card games, when you see badges, you automatically think Pokemon. You automatically do. It's just the way things go. All right. So let's talk about Journey to Unguro and what this is going to represent. Okay, so first thing we need to talk about is the release. It's slated for release in early April. We're going to be able to see more of these cards getting revealed to us starting March 17th. There's 135 cards, so we're probably going to see a couple leaked images before then, and then we're probably going to get some huge data dumps on like the 17th and up to the actual release date. There is no confirmation of when the release date is, so guys, chillax. It's okay. And it is a 135 card set. Now, each class is going to receive 2 legendaries. That's 18 total legendaries spread across the classes. One's going to be a quest spell. And we're going to get to quests here in a minute, so hold on. And the other one's going to be a regular legendary. There's also going to be 5 neutral legendaries. That could be quite impactful. Alright, there's also a new tribe called Elementals. So things like Magma Rager now are classified as Elementals. This is something that people have been asking for some time. It's kind of nice to see them finally put it in. And with any sort of tribal synergy always means that there's going to be some sort of cards that are going to benefit with it and work with it quite nicely. So we might actually see Elemental decks becoming a thing. I don't know, because the concept of Magma Rager suddenly becoming viable is a scary concept to me. It really is. It's really scary. So that's something to look forward to. Now, as I said, the quest cards, they're going to be legendary cards. This is the first time Blizzard has ever tackled the concept of legendary spells. This was an idea that I broached back in 2014 when all the nerfs to, say, Mind Control and Pyroblast were going around. And I was like, there was a simpler solution. You just turn them into legendaries, and then you just restrict them to 1 per deck, and then all of a sudden their abusive nature is reduced quite dramatically, and you get a much more balanced game. Yeah, they didn't like that concept at all. Matter of fact, they just said, yeah, no. True fact. So, yeah, to see them actually now introducing legendary spells is kind of interesting, because back then they said, yes, we're not looking at introducing legendary spells at this time. So, yeah, I'm glad to see they finally realize that they need to take some of these big steps and big chances. And that's really nice. Now, here we go. You can only have 1 quest card in your deck. Alright? Now, when you get your opening mulligan, that quest card will automatically be in your opening hand. So if it's a 1 mana quest, then you can play it right away. And so far what they've shown us that 1 quest is 1 mana. That doesn't mean that all quests are going to be 1 mana, but for this one, it's going to be at least 1 mana. You cannot gain quest spells from RNG things. So no babbling books or discovers or things of that nature. You're not going to get it off that. All right, so keep that in mind. That's actually really fucking important, okay? It's really fucking important. And there's a new keyword that's being introduced into the game. We haven't seen a new keyword in a long time. Not since, like, what? Discover? Yeah. And that is going to be adapt. And adapt is a very interesting new thing. It's going to work similar to discover, but instead of, like, spells and or minions, it's going to be effects onto those minions that have them, and or possibly other minions, as we will discuss. All right. There is going to be a pre-order, like they do with every expansion. It's going to be $50, and it gives you 50 packs, and a special card back. So for those of you who like collecting card backs, get that $50 ready. Lord knows I did. All right. All right, so let's look at some of the cards that they've brought forth, and let's
journey into
let's discuss it a bit. Now, the first one we're going to talk about is the quest card, because this is a big one that everybody's been like kind of clamoring about, wanting to know how it works exactly, so on and so on and so on. All right, so here we go. Awaken the Makers, a 1-mana priest spell. It's a quest, all right, but it is a spell. Now, on the UI, this is going to basically occupy the same spots as where normally secrets would be, or slightly above it, all right? And as you're completing your quest, there's going to be a number that's going to be visible on it when you hover over it. That shows you how close you are to completing this quest, all right? And your opponents can see this as well, and that's really important. So you can kind of play around that, and that can create some interesting, you know, mind gameage and things of that nature. All right, so the quest is summon 7 Death Rattle minions. Now, it says summon 7 Death Rattle minions. Remember, guys, N'Zoth counts as summoning those minions as well. So, in theory, you only need to have 4 Death Rattles and a N'Zoth, in theory. However, for consistency's sake, I would not rely wholeheartedly on that. Reward, Amara, Warden of Hope. Well, let's take a look at Amara. How awesome could she be? Well, she's a 5-mana 8/8 taunt. Battlecry, set your hero's health to 40. Yeah, guys. So, once you complete the quest, this is going to go to your hand, which means you have to play it out of your hand. All right? It doesn't automatically summon it, because if it did, you wouldn't get the Battlecry, and that just kind of sucks. All right? So, yeah, if they complete their quest, there's actually some validity to playing a Dirty Rat immediately afterwards, just to possibly pull this out of the hand, so they can't reset their life back to 40. That is definitely a strategy we might see going forward. Maybe. Possibly. Who knows? I like this card. I really do. It's super powerful. It's super impactful. And that battle cry pretty much shits on a lot of things. One of the first things I thought of when I saw this was, oh, wow, that's how they're going to deal with the whole Reno aspect. Now we can suddenly set Priest to 40. So this is kind of better than Reno in many ways. The fact that it's class specific is kind of going to give some really unique identity to Priest here. So Death Rattle and Kazakus type build is something that we might actually see moving forward. But let's say you don't want to go down the Kazakus path. You just want to do a Outlast kind of control style with Priest. That's also very possible. There's a slew of Death Rattles that already exist in the game and are going to continue to exist for some time. You know, you've got your Loot Hoarders, you've got your Mistress of Mixtures, you've got your Blood Mage Thanos, you've got Infested Tauren, Harvest Golem. I mean, there's a slew right there. Now, there are some Death Rattles that have existed beforehand that are no longer available, and a couple more that are rotating out that would also be really good here. So this card definitely has some great viability in, say, Wild format. It almost made me think that this card was designed specifically for Wild because of the amount of Death Rattles that exist over there. And then I started thinking, maybe we're going to see more Death Rattles in this set. That would make some sense, all right? So, yeah. It's kind of hard to really judge the viability of the whole quest mechanic and this card specifically without seeing the rest of the cards to seeing how many options that priests are going to have available to them for Death Rattle. But just on the surface, this actually has some really cool synergies and scenarios that I really like. And personally, I can't wait to get my hands on it. I really can. I think this card is actually going to make me want to play Priest, which is kind of a funny thing considering anybody who's ever watched me stream knows that I have a general negative disposition to Priest players. All right, moving on to the next card, we have Pyros, the Elemental Bird here. Okay, it's a 2-mana 2/2. That doesn't seem overly spectacular, but remember, Elemental, there could be some cool Elemental synergies moving forward because it is a new tribe. So don't count this card out just yet, alright? So kind of reserve some judgment. But a 2-mana 2/2 is kind of meh. But the Death Rattle, return this to your hand as a 6/6 that costs 6. Again, 6/6 for 6 is not overly that great of value, right? It's generally not that great of value. But again, the Elemental Synergy thing does kind of play in here as well. But again, we don't know what that's going to be yet, so we kind of have to wait. Death Rattle, return this to your hand as a 10/10 that costs 10. So here's its final form. That's actually pretty fucking spectacular. Alright, so what this card actually does, for at least mages, is it allows a mage to effectively have a 32 card deck with only having 30 cards. It gives the inevitability of always having a minion on turn 6 if you've been able to get this variant out first. So I mean, that's kind of something. That is something there that's kind of cool. It also opens up some counterplay synergies with using, say, Polymorph Potion or Mirror Entity that kind of gives it some value right there in terms of a counterplay option. But let's be honest, if I'm playing with Pyros and I'm coming up on my turn 6 and I see you play Secret, the last thing I'm going to do is play the second form of Pyros. That's for damn sure. I'm not going to do it. But there are going to be people who do this. And in its own way, that kind of counterplay mechanic, stopping the 6-drop from coming down, could actually be quite impactful. And it'll allow you to get your better card down before they do. And then have something that you could trade into it. Or just use a Polymorph on or a Hex or whatever. So there's definitely some cool possibilities there. And personally, I like the card. I think it's kind of nice. I would rate this card here probably around 6 to 7 out of a 10. I rate the Awaken the Makers also around 6 to 7. And because these are two cards that are going to be highly dependent on what's going to be available to support them in order to judge their true value. So I don't really want to give it too high of a score yet. On the other hand, we have Volcano, the Shaman spell. This one I rate a 2 out of fucking 10. There's nothing I can see that'll make me think differently about that right now. Alright, 5 mana with an overload of 2, deal 15 damage, randomly split among all minions. Why would I ever play this card? That is the one question I keep asking myself. Why? 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 There's no fucking answer I can give at this time that makes me want to play this. Ever. Okay, the fact is, it hits your own board. That's horrible. I would much rather play a Blood Mage Thanos and a Lightning Storm and clear my opponent's board than ever play this. Or even a Lightning Storm and a Maelstrom Portal. Well, actually, Maelstrom Portal and then a Lightning Storm to get that value versus ever playing this card. It just makes no sense. Destroying your own board is counterintuitive to almost everything in Hearthstone. So no, I don't like this card one bit. It's a horrible fucking card. No, no, no. Alright, so Verdant Longneck. Here we get to the Adapt cards. Now, Adapt are very, very interesting concept here. The Adapt keyword is very similar to, say, like Discover. Alright, there's 10 Adapts that you can choose from. So when I say Discover, it's kind of like Discover meets Kazakus. Alright, you're going to get 3 choices out of 10. And we're going to cover those choices right now. This page actually lists 6 of them, but I know what the other 4 are going to be. So the first one is Lightning Speed. Wind Fury. Yeah, that has some potential. Flaming Claws, +3 attack. That has some potential. Crackling Shield, Divide Shield. That has some really good potential. Liquid Membrane. Kind of like the in-between. Not overly good, not overly bad, but it's not a horrible choice either. Massive, arguably the worst choice you could ever fucking take. Living Spore, arguably one of the better choices you could take, especially in Druid. Alright, Death Rattle summon 2 1/1 plants. I like this one. This effectively turns your 5/4 into a 7/6 point value-wise. Now, there are 4 others that aren't listed here, and all of them are pretty damn good. The first one, we don't know the name of it, but it is a +1/+1. So your 5 mana card, or 5 mana minion, is now a 6/5. Not bad. Not bad at all, guys. Next one up is a +3 health, so it now becomes a 5/7. That's really fucking good. All right, 5/7s have occupied this weird space in the meta that where people couldn't really deal with them overly that well. So getting one of those on for 5 mana seems like a really good idea. And for the Verdant Longneck, that's the one I would go with every single time if I have that option. Stealth. Arguably, this one is a little bit risky, but could definitely provide some really nice potential here. In terms of adapt for Hunter, this is definitely going to be one that people will pick because you put down that stealth minion, they can't really deal with it, and the next turn you can drop double kill commands to face and possibly attack with whatever that minion is to equal out to some really serious damage. I like that concept. And the last option is a destroy any minion damaged by this minion. So basically the Emperor Cobra effect. Arguably not one of my favorite ones. It's situationally just slightly better than the taunt version, or the taunt adept. So I'm not overly fond of it. I don't really like it that much. Now remember, there is a card back for the pre-order that looks pretty cool. Very, very kind of Flintstone-y dinosaur theme with a fossil that looks like a Hearthstone. I think it's pretty cool. Now there is one other card that I want to bring up. And for that, we're going to go to Mr. Kriparian, and we're going to go to his Twitter, because he was the first person I saw to post anything about this specific card, and that is the Gentle Big Dinosaur. 4 mana, 5/4, Battle Cry, adapt your Murlocs, and it's a 5/4 beast. And it's neutral, ladies and gentlemen. It is neutral. Okay, so why is this card causing me to speak in a much higher tone that's slightly excited? And why am I suddenly turning bright fucking red? Because this card has some huge fucking potential. And I do mean huge fucking potential. Alright, one of the last forms of innovation that we've seen in the mean streets of Gadgetzan is the acceptance of Finja in a lot of other decks outside of Paladin. Finja actually took a long time for people to really kind of warm up to, but now that they have, it's created this package that's being effectively referred to as the water package. All right, we've seen the Pirate Warriors adapt the package, and it does pretty good. We've seen Shamans adapt it, and it does pretty good. Matter of fact, I have a really fun Shaman deck that uses Send in the Finishers and a whole bunch of other stuff that's a lot of fun to play, and I really like it. And it's mostly revolves around Finja getting that extra value. It doesn't always work out nearly that well, but it's a lot of fun. So why is this kind of important? Well, Gentle Big Dinosaur suddenly makes that package universally good for every single fucking class. Alright, here is why. Okay, so if you go on Finja for 5, the value that you're going to get off the Gentle Big Dinosaur is kind of reduced in so much. So we could go through that permutation, but it's not overly optimal. However, playing Finja on 6 is somehow where things get much more optimal. Mind you, you can do this on 5 if you're a druid and you have innervates, so keep that in mind. Alright, so Finja on 6. Boom. Here you are on your turn 7. Well, you can play the War Leader, do a trade, get your other Murlocs out, and then you play Gentle Big Dinosaur on the back end, and you buff up all those Murlocs. Okay, so I went through a couple scenarios here to see how good this could actually be. Here we go. Alright, so let's go through the list here. Using that scenario, Liquid Membrane as a choice. Okay, so all the Murlocs you just brought into play can't be targeted by spells. They're already being buffed, so that's kind of cool. That gives a little bit more staying power for your board. Not a great amount, because if your opponent has a board, kind of sucks. Alright, Flaming Claw. This one gets really interesting, especially if you get double bluegills out and then you play this down. All of a sudden, those bluegills that are a 4/2 suddenly become a 7/2. That's 14 damage to the face right there. And trust me, that's not as worse as it gets. Divine Shield, huge amount of validity. Murlocs in general are really easy to take out. Giving them Divine Shield is kind of massive. Living Spore, Death Rattle, summon 2 1/1 plants. Not nearly as good as you might think, because you're already going to be dealing with 5 cards on the board, and it's going to be really easy to just fill your board up with 1/1s, and then just kind of lock it out to where when you kill something, it's not going to fill up with more of those 1/1s. And of course, things like Maelstrom Portal exist, so yeah, its validity drops significantly. Taunt, absolutely worthless in this scenario. Wind Fury, holy fuck shit in a basket. This one is the scary one. This one is definitely the scary one. And I ran through the permutations here. Alright, so going through that setup where turn 6 you have your Finja played, and then on turn 7 you play down the War Leader. You attack with Finja to kill something. You summon out 2 bluegills, and then you play down Gentle Big Dinosaur, right? And you give everybody Wind Fury. Well, that means that Finja who just attacked can attack again, all right? And even if it dies on this attack, long as it kills something, it's going to summon in that last War Leader, okay? Keep that in mind. Okay, so for argument's sake, it kills that target. Finja dies, boom, it summons in that last War Leader. Okay, so what does that mean? It means your 2 bluegills that you have on the board have Wind Fury with a 6 attack. That is 24 damage right there. Now, where this gets interesting is in classes like Rogue, who have Shadow Step and can just play the bluegills again for another 6 damage to face because they charge. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is theoretically possible in the magical fairy Christmas land scenario I've laid out here to where rogues could somehow get a shit ton of fucking burst damage to your face on turn 7. It is feasibly possible. How likely is this? Not so much. Some of the other options we have here is the +1/+1. This one is actually pretty goddamn good. Alright? So going again with the whole getting 2 bluegills off the draw from Finja, and then playing this, your bluegills are now hitting as a 5/3. That's 10 damage, and your Finja, if it lived, is actually going to have a little bit more life and a little bit more attack. Your War Leader is going to have a little bit more life. That's kind of good. Now, the other option here is Stealth. Stealth is actually a really good option as well, because like I said before, Murlocs are really easy to kill. Alright, so spells taking out the War Leader, kind of a problem, but if you could stealth up the board afterwards, it's not bad. The Emperor Cobra effect of destroy any minion damaged by this minion situationally is not very good, but in some cases is actually pretty damn decent. You can use your bluegills now to remove a big threat target. So, arguably, this card opens up a lot of possibilities for the water package. But again, this is very, very, very minuscule in terms of percent chance of this actually happening. Could we actually possibly see this happen on a consistent level? It's kind of hard to say right now with how things are laid out and the very limited information we have on this new set, but it is a possibility. It could actually happen. It could actually happen, ladies and gentlemen. All in all, I think Gentle Big Dinosaur is going to provide an interesting universal package for every single class that could possibly play around with it. Will it be overly good in every class? Probably not. Will people experiment around with it? Probably yes. So is it something we should actually look forward to? Probably. Almost guaranteed. So yeah, that's pretty much my entire thing for this announcement of Journey to Ungoro. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Down in the comment section below, let me know some of your thoughts. What are some cool synergies? What are some cool combinations? What are your expectations? What do you think? Do you think the Gentle Big Dinosaur might just break the fucking game? Let me know down below in the comment section. And as usual, guys, if you like these videos, please like, subscribe. Let me know that you care. It really does help. Till next time, this is Shiv saying, stay safe, have fun, and may RNGesus bless you. Peace.